Earlier, my friend texted me about his troubles with his emotions and how he is struggling with getting over this girl he was dating for a long time and how he feels inadequate as a man. And frankly, I think I did the best I could with consoling him and trying to redirect his frustration and his sadness in a positive direction. It was he was more or less talking about how he he was giving himself the self-pity, like, oh man, I fucked this thing up with this girl, like I don't know what's going wrong. And I had to, it was one of those moments where again I just had to be truthful. I've talked before about how with my mother mainly I have to be the voice of reason, and more or less I have to give the tough love, the harsh truth, you know. I feel like a lot of people in her life, and as well maybe in Eli's life, my friend's life, they give him what he wants to hear instead of what he needs to hear. And I told him, I said, I prefaced it by saying, hey man, I'm gonna need you to read what I'm about to say, but you need to understand what I'm about to say is coming from a place of love and not because I'm just being rude. And I straight up said, I'm like, dude, you're a fucking loser. Like you're a loser. You have a loser mentality. You like expect, I wouldn't say expect, but you like accept loss, and instead of improving on it, you just double down in it. You know, I told him how he hasn't been single, like not in a relationship, not talking to girls for over a month in the last like 5 years. You know, he's always constantly either with a girl or talking to girls or whatever. I said, bro, you're a fucking loser. Like you're chasing relationships all the time, and you've never had time to build yourself. You know, there's no self care, there's no character development. You're constantly trying to just get a girl, and then that's how you feel secure. That's how you feel like a man. He was telling me how he doesn't feel like a man. I'm like, well, that's stupid. Because you're 6'6", you're in the army, you're you're like build is strong. You know what I mean? Like what do you not feel like? What do you not feel manly for? Today I really talked to him. Really, I was trying to open his eyes to how good of a situation he's in and how his mentality about it is really just holding him back from capitalizing on what he has and what he can be. You know, I told him like, in from my experience, I don't chase. There's no, I'm not constantly talking to girls trying to see if I can get something set up. I just live my life. I do what I want to do, what I need to do. I'm not constantly worried about what other people think and what other people expect out of me. I do what I need to do and what I want to do, both of those leading towards a path that'll move me forward instead of keeping me stagnant. We talked a lot about how he feels. He told me he goes out and he does things that he personally doesn't like, but he wants people to notice him doing those things so that they'll like him. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That makes no sense. I really I really wanted to talk today. I'm using this as an example. I really wanted to talk today about personal growth, allowing yourself not just the time but the space to grow. When I saw when I saw him recently, he was constantly on his phone, either on Hinge or on Snapchat, and his Snapchat was just full of girls, right? And in my head, I'm thinking, firstly, that's too many girls to even manage. Right? I can barely talk to two before I get them confused and start mixing up details. But there's it's There's something about that is just so like weird. So like not natural, you know, to be that indulgent upon wanting a relationship or just wanting like any sort of I get yeah, just relationship, I guess. But he would just constantly be on his phone, either texting these girls. I mean, that's really it. But just texting these girls. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is so weird. It's so weird. And in my head, I'm thinking like, you just broke up with your girl that you've known for like a year, maybe 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, and you're immediately going into more of that. You're just instead of giving yourself the time to grieve the loss of a loved one, right? Grieve that relationship, you're immediately trying to jump into another one. And he's been doing that for years. And I literally I said, dude, you're a fucking loser, man. You have to not do that. I said, there hasn't been a time where it's just you and your life. Personally, I've been taking my time since I moved up here to Anna. I'm using this time to just grow as a person and really develop key like characteristics and skills that will help me advance in life. I've learned to be more self-reliant. I've learned to be like helpful to others and like people like be someone other people can rely on. I've learned to have a lot of self-responsibility and I've really just mainly I've gotten comfortable with just being myself and being alone, you know? I told him like you have to allow yourself to just grow and be you. And as much as it sucks to hear, like especially from your friend that we've known each other like damn near our whole lives. It sucks to have your friend go, dude, you're a fucking loser. Like you have no self-confidence in yourself. You suck. Your mentality about a life sucks. I'm sure it wasn't hard for him to hear that. It wasn't. It was hard for me, or I'm sure it was hard for him to hear that. It was hard for me to like kind of say because I don't like being rude. But I also like if no one's gonna tell him, he's never gonna learn. He's never gonna understand what's going wrong. You know. So I just had to tell him like, dude, you need to lock in on your career, lock in on just building yourself up. Like, dude, he's 20 years old, 6 foot 6 foot 7, in the military with a stable career. He's setting himself up for life right now. He has so many good things like in his corner and in front of him, and he's being held up by pebbles. Pebbles on the road are in his way, and he's standing there unable to move these pebbles. When he has a bulldozer pushing him forward, all of this support pushing him through life. I'm like, dude, you're like you have so much in front of you, man. And you have so much pushing you forward to that. And you're being held up by the most fucking stupidest things in the world. I really want to talk about self growth and allowing yourself to be a standalone person. When you're so reliant on having a relationship, having someone you can depend on, I mean, imagine a table, right? You have a flat table and you have one leg, and instead of just like building a new leg for that table, you're constantly trying to find something to replace it. Maybe it's a bat, maybe it's a stack of books. Instead of just getting a new leg, being the whole person, being the whole table, you'd rather fill it in with something else until maybe this wears down, then you get a new thing. And then you get a new thing, get a new thing. Instead of just building yourself, building that new table leg, the chair leg, you'd rather just completely supplement it with something else over and over again. And that's not how you one, that's not how you just develop as a person. But two, that's not sustainable through life. You know, that's not a way to to be at when you're 30, 40, 50. You can't be so like dependent on other people to be in your life. You have to learn to just be your own person and be okay with that solitude. Not only be okay, but to be comfortable with it and to be like confident in that solitude. I've spent a majority of my time the last 2 years by myself, and my confidence has grown so much because I've learned to just rely on myself and to build myself up. When I go out in public now, I feel so confident. I feel like like I feel good, you know? I feel like I'm a person. I feel like I'm like a contributing member of society. Even when it's small interactions, like I'm talking to someone at a restaurant, or I'm trying to I'm trying to find something in a store and I have to ask an employee around. Like I feel more like it's not like, oh man, I should yeah, I don't know, I can just find it myself. I just walk up to him and ask, you know? Someone comes up to me when I'm at Chili's with my friend and we're talking and she's asking me something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. There's no, I'm not like, sure I stutter, sure I still have my lisp, but I'm not as self-conscious about those things. I'm not as like self-critical over the way I stumble my speech, you know, or I maybe say something weird. Sure, in the moment it's like, oh, that was kind of cringe. But then like 2 minutes later, I'm fine. I'm back in base. I'm going crazy. I'm going strong with my confidence, you know? And I really wish like it's like seeing a rich person not do the things you would do if you're rich. Like if I was in your shoes, I would do so much more because I now have those resources, you know? Like he has so much like pushing him forward and he's just not realizing it and not reflecting on it and building himself as that person. I told him he needs to be single for at least a year to just lock in and to grow and to just build upon himself, and I'm really hoping he like learns from that. Man, he's such a good guy too. He just gets hung up over the dumbest shit. Like the dumbest of shit. Moral of this one, guys, allow yourself to fully develop as a person before you begin to really reach out and look for codependency with a partner. People always say, I want to find my second half, when that is the most bullshit thing you can ever think of. You need to be 100% a human, and the other person needs to be 100% a human. You cannot have 50-50 combined to make one person. That just doesn't that doesn't work. That's not how humans work. You need to be your own person with your own legs to stand on to be able to make a relationship work. Thank you.